Greetings, Earthlings. Welcome to Nature Obscura, a podcast where nature and the supernatural collide. I'm Marissa.
And I'm Grace. Each week, we share spooky happenings from the great outdoors, from cryptids to curses, ghosts to witches, and everything in between.
Now, while we love a haunted house or a scary hospital story, that's not what we're here for. We're taking you around the globe to explore where nature and the supernatural intersect.
At the beginning of each episode, we'll briefly share any spooky or nature encounters we've had over the past week before diving into some natural history and background, and then to the main story.
And I'm so excited for this week's episode because we're going to Maine, which I've never been to before in real life. I've always wanted to learn more about it. And we're covering an abduction case, which is a first. We talked a lot about UFOs, not much about abductions. So yeah, you're in for a treat.
Yeah, I'm excited. I've never heard of it, and I've always wanted to go to Maine.
Ew, I really want to go.
Can you hear the cricket in the background?
I can, but I find it calming.
Okay, good. Yeah, the cricket is living somewhere in the Chihuahua gecko tank right next to where I am recording, and it is very loud, but I also do like it.
I love a loose cricket. Like when we have a loose cricket at work, it brings me joy. Some staff and interns are like, "Where is that cricket? Make it stop." I'm just like, I love it. I don't know.
Yeah, except one night, a cricket, was in my bedroom and just started up at like 3 a.m. And I'm like, please, for the love
Oh
of
no.
everything in the world, stop. And I found it. I think I might have told you this. I found it. I opened up a drawer and it was sitting there. And I tried to grab it and it went inside the dresser. I was like, oh my
Oh
God.
no.
Then it kept going. Worse than a baby crying. But yeah. So, do you have anything spooky or naturey for us this week, Marissa?
Well, not particularly. I did fall so hard on my butt on Saturday that it literally made me lightheaded and feel like I was going to throw up. And I've been having to walk around with a pillow everywhere I go, like an
For the
old
listeners,
person.
Marissa has a donut that she's sitting on.
I'm in pain. Like,
What
thankfully,
happened?
okay, so I have a pair of designated chicken shoes I wear, and no, they are not Crocs. They
That was my
are
first guess.
designated chicken shoes. They're like a month old, and I've noticed they seem a little slick on a wet surface, even though they have grippy bottoms. Apparently, not grippy enough. I'm going to give the chickens water on the 4th of July. It just rained a bunch. We've been getting a bunch of rainstorms the night before. The wood steps were soaked. I fell so hard on those steps. I was laying on the steps and I was yelling for Cody. Junie's running around. Then Junie's trying to eat a bumblebee. And I'm like, stop. And then I think she might have eaten it, but then she didn't, her face didn't swell up, so we're fine there.
God.
But no, I just have the most bruised butt I've ever seen in my life, and I can't lay on my back or, or anything. And I couldn't drive for the first like 2 days. Cody had to drive me to work. So
You couldn't even drive?
no, because it was my right side. You know, you have to use that muscle to put the pressure down, and I couldn't put any weight on that side when I was sitting, so
Oh my gosh, that sucks.
yeah, getting
Wow.
old.
You
I'm really
survived it,
scared.
though.
I did, and I will just say this now, I need a life alert by the time I turn 40. I'm just falling too much. I'm
35.
scared. Probably. Like, I still have another bruise on my leg from when I fell, like, last week, so
Mhm.
but what about you? Anything spooky or naturey?
I would say the only spooky thing and naturey thing is today I found a baby spider on my arm, and it was so cute, right? Nothing to be concerned about. But then, like, 30 seconds later, I found another one. And then, like, another minute later, I found another one on my arm. I'm like, where are they
All on
coming
your
from?
arm?
On my same area, my right arm. Like, I must have brushed up against something because where I work, it's a very old building, and there are spiders everywhere. And I work with frogs, right? And so we give them crickets. So the spiders have endless food because crickets get out, they escape, and, yeah, so I love spiders, and I don't mind baby spiders as much, but when they're on me, like, without my permission, I hate it. I hate it so much, um, and it gives you, like, a little jump scare, like, "Oh my god." But,
I
yeah.
agree. I like them and I respect them, but at a distance. I don't necessarily want them on me. If I'm picking them up to move them, it's a mutual understanding, but if I'm finding one, like, on me as a surprise, it's like a jump scare. Do you know
Yeah.
what type of spider they were?
They were really small, so I couldn't really tell. We have a lot of cellar spiders at work as well as false widows. And the female false widows, they get huge. And my coworkers, sadly, almost all of them will just smush them. And it makes me
Mm.
so sad because, I mean, I don't like to kill anything, but also just like the sound and feel of like a pop like that. Like when you step on a mealworm, I hate it.
The cricket actually, when you step on that,
Yeah.
it sounds like a popcorn popping.
Yeah. Ooh, and I just I have so much empathy for every single living creature. I just imagine like my body popping. And I'm like, ew, oh my
Oh.
God. Like so
Yeah,
horrible.
exploding. It essentially
Yeah.
but maybe that's not too hopefully, I mean, it's probably pretty instant for them.
Oh God, I know. Oh, and another one is yesterday I was driving to work and I was in the left lane and I was on a highway in the left lane and there was a deer about to cross the road on the left side. And luckily I saw it. I put on my flashers, I braked. There was like really no one really close behind me, but there was some like coming up fast. And um I'm pretty sure no one else slowed down for it.
Oh,
And so I passed it and honestly, I kinda started crying a little bit because, like, I just thought of how she must have been so scared and, like, she's probably, like, gonna try crossing, she's probably gonna die, and, like, oh my god, it makes me feel so sad thinking
well,
of
hopefully she
that.
she got spooked from you, like, braking and turned around. Because 'cause I've had it where they get spooked from you recognizing them and they will turn around, so hopefully that's what happened.
Yeah, and I didn't see a dead deer on my way to work today, so I was like, "Okay, maybe she made it," but I
Maybe
was
she made it.
ugh,
That is
God.
so heartbreaking, though. It's always so, like, yeah, heart dropping to the pit of your stomach when you're driving on one side and you successfully get the animal across, or you see another animal on the other side, and it's just you can't do anything to control that situation.
Mhm.
It's not great.
No. No. So that's scary and naturey, all of that, so
That is the perfectly depressing intersection of
mhm.
scary and nature.
Yeah, exactly.
Increasing, habitat fragmentation and destruction causing more cars running over animals. It's probably the scariest thing we've talked about so far on this podcast.
It really is. It's only gonna get worse too. Oh my
No!
gosh, I hate thinking about this stuff.
Okay,
It's
what we
so
need to
weird.
do we need to petition for more of those, I don't think there's any in Michigan, but I've seen them where they have those green crossways in other countries even. They
Mhm.
need to make that so there's less
I
death.
agree. I always tell Jame if I die in some crazy way and there's, like, a lawsuit and you get, like, millions or billions of dollars to, in my honor, create one of those.
For sure.
I've told him that several times.
Let's get started.
Stretching 92.5 miles through the remote Maine North Woods, the Allagash Wilderness waterway isn't just a single river. It's actually an interconnected network of 8 large lakes, 4 ponds, and countless tributary streams that culminate in a fast flowing river. This protected corridor spans roughly 20,000 acres of pristine forest and wetlands, sitting at the very heart of the largest intact temperate forest in North America that supports extraordinary natural and cultural history. Allagash is a transliteration of a Wabanaki Penobscot word rendered as bark stream. It's a phonetic spelling that reflects the original native sound. The name recalls the historic abundance of birch bark along the banks, material indigenous people used for building birch bark canoes and for many other purposes. The landscape of Allagash was shaped by two extreme geological eras. Hundreds of millions of years ago, the lands beneath the waterway actually sat near the equator, submerged under a warm, tropical sea. And if you look closely at the slate rocks along the Round Pond or Talos Lake, you can find hundreds of millions of years old fossils like sea lilies, ancient coral reefs, and lamp shells preserved perfectly inside the rock. Then, during the last ice age, massive retreating glaciers carved out the deep, clear, oxygen rich lakes and left behind the winding gravel terraces that you see today. The Allagash region experiences Maine's most severe climate, pulling freezing Arctic air down from Canada for a virtually continuous winter. Temperatures routinely plummet below zero, burying the landscape in up to 10 feet of snow for months. In the spring, massive chunks of winter ice violently tear down the river, acting as a natural bulldozer that scrape away dominant trees and clear the landscape. This is called ice scour. This destructive force creates highly specialized open microhabitats where tiny, resilient Arctic alpine herbs can thrive instead of being shaded out. These specialized zones are part of a massive botanical collision known as the boreal blend, where northern hardwood forests merge seamlessly into the Canadian boreal spruce fir forest, allowing 1/3 of all native Maine plant species to coexist here. Next, I want to get into the animals. The aquatic life in the Allagash is particularly noteworthy. The waterway is a vital stronghold for native cold water fish east of the Mississippi, with a high proportion of ponds supporting wild, self sustaining brook trout populations. The watershed also harbors burbot, often called cusk, a deep water, nocturnal fish that spawns beneath the ice in winter, which is very unusual among freshwater fishes. In fact, I've never heard of that. Didn't know that was.
Why would they do that?
I don't know.
'Cause doesn't that take a lot of energy
I would assume
when
so.
there isn't as much food?
The only thing I can think of is there are less animals to eat the eggs, and so maybe they're specialized so that they're more successful, but
That could make
I'm
sense.
not really sure the exact reason. Next, I want to get into the mammals. The Allagash serves as a critical sanctuary for some of North America's most highly adapted wildlife, beginning with its legendary moose population, which exists here in one of the highest concentrations on the entire continent.
That makes sense because when I think of moose, if they were gonna live anywhere, I think of Maine.
Yeah, me too. They possess specialized cloven hooves that act as snowshoes in the winter and splay wide to prevent them from sinking into the deep, muddy lake bogs when they dive completely underwater to feast on the aquatic plants. Sharing this wilderness is the elusive, federally protected Canada lynx, which treats the region as core habitat. Their massive, heavily furred paws act as built in snowshoes that allow them to silently stalk snowshoe hares across 10 feet of fluffy snow. Finally, deep within the wilderness lies a vital subterranean refuge, a secret bat cave. It stands as one of only 4 documented winter hibernation caves in the entire state of Maine. Here, species like the little brown bat rely entirely on the unique local geology to survive the brutal northern climate. They shelter inside rare, deep limestone crevices that provide the perfect insulated sanctuary to escape freezing winter temperatures. Finally, something that I cannot believe we didn't even mention in last week's episode, surprisingly for the first time in the entire podcast, I'm pretty sure. I want to talk
We didn't
about
talk about birds?
the birds. No, afterwards I was like, did we not even mention birds? Listeners, please tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't know what's happening to me.
I didn't realize.
Yeah, I know. The Atlas of Breeding Birds in Maine documented over 120 species nesting along the waters. This includes a massive sanctuary for loons, whose haunting, eerie nighttime calls carry for miles across the lakes, as well as the only breeding population of the Bonaparte gull in the continental United States. And 2 of the continent's most elusive specialized woodpeckers, who are considered rare in this area, the black-backed woodpecker and the American three-toed woodpecker. They're strictly bound to dense spruce fir bogs and areas recovering from forest fires or insect outbreaks. These unique birds possess a rare genetic trait where they lack a 4th toe entirely. This powerful three-toed grip allows them to lean back and strike at the dead wood with incredible force, flaking off entire sheets of bark to get the hidden wood-boring beetle larvae. As they drum into the standing timber, they're basically acting as forest architects, creating vital nesting cavities for dozens of other native birds, like owls. All in all, the Allagash Wilderness waterway is an enduring refuge where ancient bodies of water and resilient species have combined to create a landscape of both natural and cultural value.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we have a good background into the Allagash Wilderness of Maine, we're going to go back in time to the summer of 1976, 50 years ago this year. The weather was hot, probably. It was pre internet and cell phones. Paul McCartney and Wings' Speed of Sound was dominating the charts. And yes, I did listen to the album on repeat as I was doing the research. It was a vibe. So, during this bicentennial summer of the US, four art students and experienced outdoorsmen, twins Jim Weiner and Jack Weiner, Charlie Foltz, and Chuck Rake, left their stomping grounds of Boston to head to Allagash Wilderness for a 2 week long canoeing and camping trip. It was August 20th, and their fall semester for school was fast approaching. Their end of summer break trip was all going as planned, uneventful and peaceful, with the first week involving cooling summer nights as they sat by campfire and day trips with their canoes exploring the Allagash Wilderness waterways. One night, one of the men, Jim, noticed a bright object in the sky above the treetops. He spotted it actually through his binoculars for about 20 or so seconds when it suddenly disappeared. It was odd, and something didn't feel quite right about it, but Jim just brushed it off at the time. As soon as I heard that they had binoculars, I was thinking, wonder what birds they were spotting on this trip. Or if they were looking at birds at all, or if they were just using it for, I mean, what's the point of binoculars besides looking at birds, you know?
It was the woodpeckers.
So on Thursday, August 26th, when they stopped to camp at Eagle Lake, everything changed. The four men had an experience they would never forget, and a media sensation followed a nearly decade after the fact. The story of what happened that night is as follows. After setting up camp in the remote wilderness of the area, the men decided to go night trout fishing. Why are you going fishing at night? It doesn't seem like a great idea to me, but I don't really care for fishing at any time of day, to be honest.
Yeah.
They did recognize just how dark the area was with how remote it was, so they decided to build a much larger than normal bonfire so they could actually easily spot their way back to the campsite. While out trout fishing, Chuck Rack started getting the sensation of being watched. Someone or something was out there with them, in the dark, watching him and his friends. Chuck gained the courage finally after a few moments to look to where the sensation was coming from, and what he saw shocked him. Chuck saw a huge, bright sphere hovering motionless about 300 feet above the southeastern cove of trees as they were out on the water. He shouted to his friends to look at what he saw. As they looked and their eyes adjusted from the dark night to the bright light, they witnessed an intense light described as emitting a gyroscopic motion.
Can you explain what that would be?
Yes. So, how do I say it in words? It's like a spinny top, and twist it on the table, and it goes around and around in a circle. Kind of just very trippy. In fact, it's so trippy that I wasn't able to put what else they saw into my own words. So this next part is a quote because it made my brain feel like I was on acid. So they saw this light described as emitting a gyroscopic motion. It was, quote, as if there was pathways of energy flowing equatorially and longitudinally from pole to pole. This divided the sphere into four oscillating quadrants of brightly colored light. The color changes were very liquid and enveloping, as if the entire object had a plasmatic motion to it, like a thick sauce does as it starts to a roiling boil. End quote.
It's, like, so descriptive, but I still, like, I can't really even imagine it because, like, what colors exactly? You know, like, they don't say any colors, they just said all these big words
And
and
that's true. I think it was white, green, red. In this source where they were doing this direct quote from the witnesses, they did not describe the color light changes. But as you can see, it is very descriptive, but how would you re-explain that to someone? Like, I can't, so I had to
Yeah.
do a quote. Anyway, very trippy, very strange. So at this point, Charlie grabbed his flashlight and flashed his light at the UFO, the weird gyrating light thing. And he flashed SOS to the UFO, which I don't know why. I don't know what I would do if this happened to me, but that would not be it.
That's not what my first reaction would be.
No. The UFO immediately then began moving towards where the group of men were in their canoe. Scared, they quickly began paddling off, staring at their bonfire offshore as a way to keep track, and going as fast as they could to get to the comfort of their campsite. As the glowing object shortened the distance between itself and the canoe, a cone shaped beam shone from the object, sweeping the lake, and it eventually engulfed the canoe in its light. Jack Weiner, one of the twins, remembered thinking at this point, "Holy shit, this is it. We'll never get away." End quote. And then here's an artist's rendition of what the guy flashing the light and what it was like. It seems beautiful if it wasn't like an alien spaceship.
I mean, from the photo, though, it looks like he's just flashing a light at the moon, but,
That's true.
I mean, I can imagine that the moon doesn't give off that kind of pattern
I'm assuming in the
light.
photo that's not the moon. I'm assuming that's the thing, but it does
Yeah.
look like the moon. Even the artist didn't know how to draw it. They're like, "I'm
Right.
just gonna draw a circle."
They're like, "Dude, we don't understand what you mean, like, can you
Yeah.
just give us a little bit more here?"
"It's thick pasta sauce moving around in circles." They're like, "What?" Like,
Like, "The
it was the
color."
'70s. Yeah.
Yeah.
So after this moment, the 4 men have varying memories of what exactly happened next. Generally, the 4 remember suddenly being on the shore. Chuck was transfixed, and he remembers sitting in the canoe on the shore as the others jumped out. He was just staring at the object in a trance like state, unable to move. Jack, Jim, and Charlie remember jumping out of the canoe and standing on the shore watching the object as it hovered for about 4 to 5 minutes silently. And at this point, the object was only about 20 feet above the water. One of the witnesses recounted later that it seemed so close that they could probably just throw a rock at it and hit it. At that point, the twins recalled the beam suddenly pointing up to the sky instead of below and at them. And as soon as it did that, the object then suddenly shot into the stars and was gone in what seemed like a single second. The group was in a state of shock. They stood there for a period of time, unable to move or speak. As the effects of the UFO's hypnotizing beam wore off, Chuck climbed out of the canoe and joined the others as they slowly walked their way back to camp. Even in this shocked state, you would think at this point of the night, nothing else was going to surprise them. But when they arrived at their campsite expecting to see their fully flamed fire, it was burnt down to red coals. They had set several large logs on the fire to burn, with the expected burn time to be around 2 to 3 hours. Again, these guys are outdoorsmen and they have a pretty good idea. They've been doing this now for 6 nights. The 4 men estimated that they had only been away from the camp for around 15 to 20 minutes max.
Yeah, that's quite the difference.
Even if you're not great at guesstimating fire burning time, if you 15, 20 minutes, that big of a fire with that thick of logs are not gonna go down to coals. And I know that, and I'm not
Mhm.
good at starting fires. What happened during this lost time has been a mystery ever since. You would think the group would discuss just what happened, and even they, looking back on this event, were wondering why they didn't talk about it the night it happened, but at the time, they were just very fatigued, tired, and they all just went to bed.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
The next morning, they got up and packed up their camp as normal and paddled to the next campsite, and the rest of the trip continued uneventfully. In the years following, Jack, one of the twins, was plagued with reoccurring nightmares, often consisting of him being in a brightly lit room, sitting on a bench with his brother Jim, and his school friends Chuck and Charlie, all naked. Jim recalls being very confused in the dreams and not understanding where he is or why he is there. He also recalls being confused as to why his brother and friends weren't helping him. He felt the impending danger of the situation. Towards the end of the dream, a dark figure emerges from an incredibly bright light in front of him. At this point, his body jolts him awake, where he is sweating and gasping for air in a state of terror. And he just had that dream repeatedly.
That must really take a toll on you.
Definitely. Once Jack opened up about his reoccurring nightmares to his brother Jim, at the time, he had only been telling his wife Mary about this. But around 12 years after the fact, he finally opened up to his brother because they were becoming more reoccurrent and happening more frequently. So once he told his brother Jim, Jim actually confessed that he had been haunted by similar nightmares that left him with feelings of being violated and helpless. The twins wondered if it connected back to their camping trip in Maine's Allagash Wilderness, nearly 12 years earlier at that point.
It's amazing they never talked about this sooner.
Isn't that such a guy thing,
It's such a
to
guy
be
thing.
fair?
Oh my gosh, I'm realizing more and more guys just, like, do not talk about anything. And, like, I always ask James, "Well, did you ask for details? Did you ask about this, that?" It's a guy thing. We don't talk about that. We just kinda do what we're doing. I'm like, "What do
I
you mean?"
know. Or you're like, "Okay, so women," like, you have follow-up questions, and they're always, "I don't know." What do you mean? How do you not know? Like, what is I don't know. If this were 4 women, this would have all been resolved and discussed the night of,
Yeah, exactly.
my humble opinion. Okay. So, it's 1988, and Jack can't hold on to this memory that's haunting him any longer, or these dreams anyway. He doesn't know exactly what happened. So, what does he do? He reaches out to UFO researcher Ray Fowler, who was presenting at a UFO lecture in the Boston area. Fowler agrees to investigate the situation and recommends that Jim, Jack, Charlie, and Chuck all go under hypnosis to better understand what happens to them. The 4 went in separately and each spoke of their experiences under the effects of hypnosis. And I didn't include this into my writing, but I did look into hypnosis because I was always kind of curious if it was an actual science, if it's a pseudoscience, because I feel like there's a good amount of skepticism when you do hear of hypnotism. But I guess it is an actual medical thing that they do use in therapy for some individuals, and different people are going to be more or less susceptible to hypnosis, but you have to be careful when questioning it. It basically makes you more susceptible to giving answers the person hypnotizing you might want to hear. So it has to be done in a very methodical and structured way.
That
So
reminds me of the book you gave me on hypnotism.
I was thinking that too. I was like, damn it, I could have used that for the research.
Just read the entire book, become an expert
Yeah.
on hypnotism for this episode.
1946. Each individual recalled how they were abducted and probed by aliens on that August night in 1976. It's kind of dark. They were forced naked and had medical examinations done. The aliens shone a light in the eyes and mouth of the men and then placed them in a harness where the aliens flexed the men's arms and legs. They then collected various samples from the men and hovered large instruments over their body. Charlie described it like a doctor's office. Jack said the aliens spoke with them in his head, so telepathically, telling him not to be afraid and to just do what they say. Chuck remembers seeing them use a super strange device on Charlie, and he recalled Charlie looking like he was in pain and like the device was sucking something from him.
Ugh.
After this was complete, the 4 men were allowed to redress themselves, where they went into another room and walked into a portal that brought them back down to their canoe right near their campsite. And then here are 2 photos of drawings. So they went to art school, and I'm just going to say maybe it could have been a little better.
But you know what though? Like, this is a very, like, basic picture of an alien. Like, I feel like I could have done this, but also they do seem like they are pretty basically shaped, you know? Like, what more
That
could you
is
even
true.
add to that?
Contouring? I don't know.
Shading.
Shading. I agree, though. I agree. It is very much I could have drawn the one on the left, that is how I would draw an alien. So, I am surprised, though, by the, photo on the right where it's a side profile of an alien. He has an elongated snout, which I would not imagine of an alien. So, under hypnosis, they did these drawings as well as recount, what they experienced during this traumatic event. After the initial hypnosis sessions, it was revealed amongst the men. They basically had a team debrief with Ray Fowler after, and they realized that they all had incredibly similar accounts of what had happened, despite never discussing it with each other and only remembering it while undergoing hypnosis. Isn't that insane? 12 years and you guys are just now all realizing that?
It's insane. 12 years is too long.
Further hypnosis sessions occurred and more details emerged, including that the twins, Jack and Jim, often had nighttime visitations by alien like creatures as children and have had abduction experiences since early childhood.
And they never talked about it? They never talked about it? Seriously?
And they're twins! Don't like twins talk about everything? I also thought that was interesting because I feel both in our science and I'm sure alien scientists that have jobs to do gotta be interested in twins, twin telepathy and all of that. Maybe Jack and Jim were the real targets and their friends were with them, and they were just brought along for the ride.
Yeah. I can totally see that.
It also reminded me of the speaker we saw at that UFO convention, and they stated how it started for them in childhood, and people surrounding them got involved and had experiences as well just due to their proximity.
I will be honest, I think about her story more often than I'd like to admit. Like, it
Really?
really stuck with me, and I kinda believed it. I don't know, like, at the time, I was kinda like, "Yeah, she seems like she wants attention," but now I'm like, I don't know, she seemed really, like, scared.
I feel like I have a good sense of a good judge of character and maybe the ability to tell if people are lying. She's either telling the truth or she's a great liar.
Mhm,
But it felt very believable and she felt vulnerable to me. And that's such a hard thing, and that's something we talked about. It wasn't this last episode, the episode before, like, the Haverfield triangle with those schoolboys just not being believed and how hard it must be to come forward.
mhm.
I can't imagine how hard that is for her. How isolating that must feel.
Exactly, and she had said that the aliens wanted her to tell her story.
So creepy.
It is. It makes me think that the aliens are getting ready to introduce themselves to the world. Like, I don't know, that's just, like, a crazy thought, but I feel like it's gonna happen, and I'm here for it. I'm scared, but I'm here for
They're
it.
They're already here and amongst us. So after they had this team meet, they all realized, "Oh my god, we have the same experience," and they sat with that and hopefully got some therapy. All 4 men took a polygraph test about their experiences, and they all passed with no signs of deception.
See, I always think that's crazy because it it's gotta be hard to lie and pass, you know? Like, either they
Yes.
truly, truly believe what they're saying, and it's just, like, some kind of weird coincidence that they all have the same story, or it's actually true.
I feel I know with polygraph tests, they aren't admissible in court, but I do feel like there is a lot more false positives than there are false negatives, and I think that's why they're not admissible in court is because your stress, your nervousness can impact the test, and it can make it seem like you're lying even if you're just super scared, super stressed, your emotions are all over the place. So, the fact that they were able to level-headedly answer these questions with no sign of deception is pretty interesting.
I feel like I would be one of those people to fail a polygraph test because I have crippling anxiety. Just like, all right, basic questions. What's your favorite color? And I'm like, I don't know. It depends on the day. Purple?
No,
Red? I don't know.
if they'd ask me my name and, like, my birthday, it would be off the charts.
Yeah.
Deception, deception.
Yeah. Ridiculous.
During the investigation, Jack and his wife Mary were actually abducted from their home in the rural mountain town of Townsend, Vermont. When Jack let out his dog in the middle of the night in May of 1988, right when he started to talk to Ray Fowler again, mind you, or talk to Ray Fowler about his experiences and open up, is when he got abducted again. Jack recounted seeing a strange light. He originally thought he had dreamt seeing the light, and he just went ahead, let the dog back inside, and that was that. Though under hypnosis, he actually revealed the abduction of himself and his wife. An excerpt of his hypnosis is as follows. I feel like I'm a monologue in acting class right now.
Oh,
I'm
yeah. You have to
scared.
go all out?
Do you want to do it?
No, no. I want you to do it. Just pretend
Okay.
like it's you, Marissa. It's ready? Action.
Oh, I don't want this to happen. Gasps. And then the covers are down, and I'm looking there, and I was right. They're right there. Oh God, they're right there, right next to my bed. It has big eyes and a big head, and it's dark, and there's light behind it coming behind the door. And it's just taking the covers away, and I don't want to look at it. And I look at Mary. There's another one there, and it's next to Mary. And I wish that I could do something, but I can't. I have to do what they want. And the light is out there, and they want me to go out there. They're lifting me. They're making us move towards the light. I feel like I'm floating. Our feet are on the ground, but my feet are not doing what I want them to.
Bravo.
And scene. And
Amazing.
scene.
I
Thank you.
felt like I was there.
Thanks. All right. So those events were very similar to what had happened to Jack and his friends 12 years earlier. This experience, though, differed in one major way. There was physical evidence left behind of the encounter, including burns on the bottom of Jack's feet and a biopsy like scoop mark above his ankle. The strange scoop mark was right above a scar where a surgeon had removed what was thought to be a cyst that had formed overnight and was sent for testing years prior. So basically, a few years before this, Jack got a weird bump above his ankle, got it checked out by the doctors. They weren't sure what it was, so they did surgically remove it and send it for testing. They couldn't figure out what the pathology was behind the bump, and so it was actually sent to the Center for Disease Control in Atlanta, which seems pretty intense. He didn't hear anything else about it though, so he thought he was good. Years later, when he was going back through his medical records and after he got this scoop mark above that scar, he found that his biopsy had ultimately been sent to military pathologists in DC, where it was examined by a US Air Force colonel. Now, this is the part where I'm like, what? Air Force? They're both in the sky. And that's fine with me, and I'll take that for what it is. So Jack did try and get more information along with Ray Fowler, but they were met with a lack of cooperation of their inquiry from the surgeon and the pathologist.
That's insane. Like, if that's actually true, that would be startling and scary. Like, what was in me?
Right? Imagine going, getting a sample, biopsy, blood test, whatever, not hearing anything. And you know how when you get those samples done, a lot of the time they're just, if you don't hear from us, everything was fine.
Mhm.
So that you go about your business, you go back, like imagine a decade later, you go back and you're like, wait, why was this sent to the FBI in
The
DC or
military,
something?
yeah. Oh my gosh. It's interesting because you'd think that if that actually did happen and it was that important to send to the military, you'd think they would wanna do a follow-up kind of, like, evaluation on the guy. Like, "Hey, have you had any weird experiences? Like, when did you notice this?" Or, like, something.
That's true. I just had a hypothesis. Maybe they did ask him about the cyst stuff. He said it appeared overnight, so I think they did have a time frame, but what if it was a microchip that the aliens put in them, and they took it out and were testing that microchip, and then the reason the aliens were able to find them again and why he got abducted again right after he started talking to Ray is because the aliens didn't know how to find him, but the aliens do keep a lookout for UFO conferences and lectures, that sort of thing, and then they spotted him there. Like the Men
Dude,
in Black, like the
yeah.
wax aliens from the last episode or a couple episodes ago.
I think you're right. I think you're spot on, and I think the aliens were watching us at that conference. I mean, I bet they were watching that woman who was
Probably.
speaking. Dude, what if they were there? Oh my god, they were sitting behind us because we were in the front row.
We would have no idea that we would have had no idea.
My
We
god.
should have been on more high alert. That's what we should have done. We should have been looking for who the alien was. God damn it.
Next time.
It was the guy that came talking to us about the light thing that I still don't understand what he was saying.
He was trying to see what we knew.
Yeah, he was trying to gauge our intel.
Oh,
Oh my god.
you guys, this just in, we've talked to an alien.
I'm so scared.
Also, though, if that guy is a listener now, thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for
Yeah.
listening.
Good talking to you.
Good talking to you. Thank you so much for enjoying the podcast. Um, So, throughout the investigation, Ray Fowler did conduct background checks of the witnesses, reviewed their medical records, cross checked testimony, and conducted over 15 hypnosis sessions over a year period between 1988 and 1989. His final report apparently came out to be over 700 pages. I unfortunately could not find where this report was. I did try and do further digging on it. I got most of this info. There is a ufoevidence.org, and this most of what I got was directly from Ray Fowler's research, and they alluded to the 700-page case file, but that has not been made shared with the public.
I just need to pause everything for a sec. Just because this blew my mind. You went off script and just said some dates. Did you just know that off the top of your head?
Well, you see, I knew it was in 88 and it was over a year, so I just added plus 1.
I was so impressed, dude. I was just
Thanks!
like,
I was
I
kind of
went up
impressed
and
with
down. I'm like,
myself.
where the hell did she get those years from?
I thank you. You know, I was kind of impressed myself, but I was like, I did just count.
Good job. You're
But
doing
thank you.
great.
Thank you. So, in addition to the thoroughness with the background checks, the medical records, they looked into theories outside of alien abduction, including hoaxes, quote, fantasy prone personalities, birth trauma memories. Question mark on my end. I don't know what that's about, but he did include it, so I wanted to say that. Birth trauma memories and more. So you just wanted to make sure the men didn't get that mixed up with a birth trauma memory. I don't know what that means.
Like in remembering your own birth?
I don't know what else it could be because they're dudes.
Yeah, that's odd.
So, with the credibility of the witnesses, they ruled out these other theories. Three of the four men are consistent with their claims of what happened, where the fourth, Charlie Rack, says he may have elaborated some stuff for financial gain. The others claim, though, that he was actually backtracking on his statements and mad because they wouldn't elaborate further about things, too. So, he was trying to discredit the others when he wanted to take it a step further. It's pretty weird, but the others do remain adamant to this day, and it's the financial gain part does confuse me because it doesn't really seem like there was any financial gain.
Mm.
So hard to say. The Allagash abductions and what really happened remain a mystery to this day. It is one of the strangest unexplained wilderness encounters to date. Whatever you think may have happened, the abductee Charlie states, "This happened. If you believe it, that's all right. If you don't believe it, I don't care. I don't care, because it did happen."
All right, so let's do the scare scale on this one. You're in the canoe. You see this crazy light thing in the sky. All of a sudden, you're going up onto the shore and you think you might have been abducted, but you're not going to talk about it for 12 years. On a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being totally chill, doesn't even bug you really, kind of like how they acted, actually. It's barely even a jump scare. 5 is a solid spooky story that you would tell at parties. And 10, it's so terrifying that you sleep with the lights on forever and you have to have therapy for the rest of your life.
I'd say 10 for sure.
Yeah. Well, and we're women too, so we would actually talk about it. And I mean, maybe that would help, but
I think we'd be able to get through the trauma, and get a little better a little quicker,
yeah,
but I'd still be super freaked out forever.
me too. Because especially like we, like them, are outside a lot. We know what's normal, what's not normal. That light that they described, very not normal. The time that they were missing, not normal. So also a 10 for me. Um, but you know what? I think we would capitalize on it almost immediately.
As one should. I mean, if you're gonna be traumatized, at least make some money off of it, especially in this economy.
Yeah, you're gifted this traumatic experience of meeting aliens and getting tested on. Make some money, you know?
Totally. And I think it would be a 10. I thought at first you were just gonna say the light. It would be a 10 for me even if I saw what they described as the weird pulsating light thing because I would either 1, think I was having a stroke and have a panic attack, or 2, think I was drugged and also have a panic attack.
Yeah, I agree, but I
Terrifying.
think the lapse in time would be the most scary for me, just because, like, what happened? And you don't
Lapses
know.
in time are so scary. Thankfully, that has never happened to me. It has actually happened to my roommate, and this is something that I do have in my list of episode ideas to cover, but it was in New York when he was stationed there. Him and his friends were going through this park that's famous for this type of thing, and they had lost a chunk of time. I don't remember the details. I'll have to ask him the story again, but it was pretty cool and scary, but cool.
Oh my god. That's crazy. I didn't know that your roommate got abducted by aliens.
Now, I don't know if he knows that, but oh my god, Grace, bring over the book. Let's try something out. Let's see if we can figure out what happened.
Yes. Well, oh my god, what if we, like, break his brain by trying to hypnotize him?
That'd be bad.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of Nature Obscura. We hope you enjoyed learning about the Allagash abductions, and we hope you don't get abducted by an alien. But if you have, write in. Love to know more. if you're comfortable and in your point of healing to discuss such things. Don't forget to leave us a rate and review wherever you get your podcasts, and make sure to tell a friend about us.
Stay obscure, Earthlings.
Transmission ending.